I'm Rachel from ChainSense. In the next 8 minutes, what each architecture actually is, who can prove what happened, and which one fits you. Multisig, MPC, Single-sig, 3 ways to hold crypto, and the internet treats them like a ranking, as if one is simply better. They're not a ranking. They're 3 different answers to one question: who can move the money, and who can prove what happened. Pick the wrong one, and you've either over-engineered a small wallet or underprotected a large one. Start with the mechanics, because they're genuinely different. Single-sig is one private key. One key signs, the funds move. Simple, fast, and a single point of failure. Lose it or leak it, and it's over. Multisig is M of N, several independent private keys, and a threshold of them must each sign. 2 of 3, 3 of 5. On Bitcoin, that's enforced by the script. On Ethereum, by a smart contract like Safe. Crucially, each key is a complete separate key, and the rule lives on-chain. MPC, multi-party computation, looks similar from a distance but works completely differently. Instead of several whole keys, there's one key, mathematically split into shares held by different parties. To sign, a threshold of those shares run a computation together that produces a single signature, without ever assembling the full key in one place. The chain sees one ordinary signature, indistinguishable from a single-sig wallet. So, single-sig is one key. Multi-sig is many keys, voting on-chain. MPC is one key, split into shares, computed off-chain. 3 architectures that can all enforce 2 of 3, and that's where the similarity ends. Everything that matters next comes from that one difference. Now the part almost nobody compares, auditability. With multi-sig, everything is on-chain and public. Every signer, every approval, every change to the threshold or the owner list, all of it is a transaction anyone can verify forever. That transparency is the feature. If a key is added, you see it. If the policy changes, it's on the record. With MPC, the chain only ever sees that single combined signature. The governance, who holds shares, what the threshold is, when shares were refreshed, happens off-chain, inside the provider's system. You can add or remove parties and rotate shares with no on-chain transaction at all. That's operationally smooth, and a real advantage for a fund moving fast across many chains. But it has a cost. The audit trail is whatever the provider's logs say it is. If your MPC custodian disappears, you don't inherit a public transaction history, you inherit a support ticket. Single-sig, for completeness, has no governance to audit at all. One key, and whoever holds it decides everything, invisibly. So the real axis here isn't security, it's verifiability. Multisig writes its governance onto the most durable public ledger there is. MPC keeps it private and fast. Which you want depends on whether you'll ever need to prove what happened to someone else. So what does each actually defend against, and how battle-tested is it? All 3, set up well, stop the obvious thing, a single compromised key. Lose one key in a 2 of 3, multi-sig or MPC, and you're still safe. The attacker can't reach the threshold. The difference is the failure mode. Multisig's keys are fully independent, so an attacker has to compromise several separate devices, ideally across different vendors. MPC never assembles the full key, which is elegant, but in the common centralized setup, one provider holds all the shares in their own environment, which quietly reintroduces a single organization as a point of failure. Both are mature. Multisig has run since 2012 on Bitcoin and secures most DAO treasuries through Safe. MPC underpins the big institutional custodians, Fireblocks, BitGo, Copper, Coinbase, collectively securing trillions in transaction volume. Neither is experimental, but here's the threat that defeats all 3 equally. And it's the lesson of every major exchange hack. None of them protects you from approving a malicious transaction you didn't understand. Multisig, MPC, Single-sig. If the interface lies and you sign blind, the architecture faithfully executes your mistake. Distributed signing is never a substitute for verifying what you sign. Before the decision, clear up 2 things the marketing gets wrong. First, MPC is often sold as faster multisig, as if it's the same tool with better performance. It isn't the same tool. It's a different threat model, off-chain key shares instead of on-chain independent keys, with a different audit story and a different trust assumption. Faster and cheaper on-chain, yes. But you're trusting a provider's off-chain process in a way you simply aren't with a self-run safe. Better depends entirely on what you're optimizing for. Second, and this one catches individuals constantly, A hardware wallet with multiple backup cards is not multi-sig. Take Tangem. Its multi-card setup gives you several cards that each hold a copy of the same single key for backup, but spending needs only one card. That's redundancy, not a quorum. No threshold, no M of N, no independent signers voting. It looks multi-sig shaped from the outside, and it's genuinely useful as a backup scheme, but don't mistake it for the thing we've been describing. Multi-sig means multiple different keys must approve. Multi-card means multiple copies of one key exist. One is a policy, the other is a spare. So which one fits you? Pick Single-sig if your balance is small enough that the cost of losing it is less than the cost and complexity of protecting it. A hardware wallet you control for spending money and small holdings. Below roughly $1,000 self-custodied, Multisig is over-engineering. Pick Multisig if you're self-custodying a serious amount, tens of thousands and up, and you want three things: no single point of failure, no minimum balance gate, and a public on-chain record of every governance decision. That's most serious individuals, family balance sheets, and DAOs, safe on Ethereum, a descriptor-based setup on Bitcoin. Pick MPC if you're an institution. You need to move fast across many chains. You want signatures that look like ordinary transactions for compatibility and lower fees. You can meet the seven-figure minimums these providers set. And, this is the condition, you trust the provider's off-chain process and have read their recovery and shutdown terms. The honest summary: Single-sig is for convenience. Multi-sig is for sovereignty with a paper trail. MPC is for institutional speed with a trusted operator. Match the architecture to who you are, not to whichever one a vendor is selling hardest. That's the real comparison. Not better and worse, but different answers to who moves the money and who can prove it. The full written breakdown with the side-by-side matrix is linked below. If you remember one line, make it this one. Multi-sig is policy. MPC is mathematics. Subscribe to ChainSense. I'm Rachel. See you in the next one.